The atmosphere after Canelo Alvarez's shocking defeat to Terence "Bud" Crawford has been nothing short of electric. Analysts, fans, and legends of the sport are tearing apart Canelo's legacy, and the word overrated keeps resurfacing. For years, Alvarez was presented as boxing's golden boy, the face of the sport, the king who couldn't be dethroned. But the fight with Crawford changed everything. Suddenly, the aura of invincibility surrounding him dissolved, leaving the boxing world to wonder. Was Canelo always more hype than substance? Even before the fight, Mike Tyson had been blunt. He looked at the matchup and told anyone who would listen that Crawford would outbox Canelo. To Tyson, Alvarez wasn't untouchable. He was beatable, and Crawford's adaptability would expose him. After the fight, Tyson doubled down, saying that Canelo looked ordinary once the bell rang, that Crawford's precision made him appear one-dimensional. The uppercuts, the timing, the ability to slip Canelo's counters, it all combined to paint a picture of a fighter in total control versus one struggling to adjust. Tyson's verdict was clear. The myth of Alvarez as a once-in-a-generation powerhouse was broken. Teddy Atlas, one of boxing's most respected and feared voices, had been saying it for years. He never bought into the myth. Atlas argued that Alvarez's career was carefully curated. Big names, yes, but often at carefully chosen moments. Older opponents, favorable styles, and matchups designed to protect the star. In Atlas's words, Canelo's reputation wasn't built solely on dominance but on timing and perception. When the Crawford fight arrived, Atlas's long-standing criticisms suddenly had the perfect exhibit. Here was Canelo, stripped of the smoke and mirrors, unable to impose himself, unable to show layers to his game. Other analysts echoed the same concerns. They pointed to the performance-enhancing drug scandal that briefly tainted Canelo's career, something that would have destroyed the public image of lesser fighters. Somehow, Alvarez emerged unscathed, as if fans and promoters wanted so badly to believe in his greatness that they brushed it aside. They also pointed to his trilogy with Gennady "Gigi" Golovkin, which, while exciting, exposed how razor-thin his dominance really was. Many believe Golovkin should have won at least one of those fights. And of course there was the Floyd Mayweather schooling, a lopsided lesson that should have forever reminded people that Canelo was never flawless. Yet despite all this, the machine rolled on. Alvarez became the face of boxing, earning colossal paydays, headlining massive events, and carrying himself like the standard-bearer of the sport. Critics say this was the Mayweather model applied with less finesse. Protect the brand, protect the record, carefully select the opposition. The difference was that Mayweather never slipped, never got dominated. Canelo, on the other hand, has now been dominated 3 times. By Mayweather, by Dimitri Bivol, and most decisively by Terence Crawford. What happened in the ring against Crawford was a masterclass in exposure. Canelo, usually the predator, became hesitant. He threw single shots instead of combinations, failing to set traps or establish rhythm. He looked square, flat-footed, predictable. Crawford, a southpaw with endless versatility, dictated everything. He jabbed when Canelo pressed forward, countered when Canelo threw, and smothered his range with footwork and timing. From the very first round it was clear. Canelo had no answers. The fight became less about Crawford winning and more about Canelo being unraveled. For fans who believed in Canelo's legendary chin, even that narrative started to crack. Crawford didn't knock him out, but the accumulation of clean, unanswered shots wore him down. Instead of walking through the punches like he once had, Alvarez looked visibly shaken. He hesitated, he paused, and in the championship rounds he looked like a man trying to find an exit. Analysts pointed out that perhaps Canelo's iron chin was as much about defense and rolling with shots as it was about durability. Against a fighter like Crawford who refused to let him breathe, that defense wasn't enough. The post-fight fallout was brutal. In interviews, Canelo looked weary, almost resigned. He admitted that he didn't feel good physically, that his body wasn't responding. Some fans called it an excuse. Others wondered if it was the first sign that Alvarez was contemplating retirement. After all, he walked away with $150 million, a fortune by any measure, while Crawford, despite making history, earned far less. In a way, that fact itself symbolized what critics had been saying, that boxing had always rewarded Canelo more for his image than for his substance. Terence Crawford, meanwhile, walked away as the undisputed super middleweight champion, making history by becoming the first fighter in the modern era to capture undisputed crowns in 3 divisions. He didn't just beat Canelo, he dismantled the myth that had carried him for years. As Abel Sanchez, another respected trainer, said, it wasn't just that Crawford won, it was how he won. From the opening round to the final bell, he never let Canelo find rhythm, never let him feel comfortable. It was, in Sanchez's words, a virtuoso performance. For many, the symbolism couldn't be ignored. This wasn't just another fight. This was the passing of the torch. Alvarez, long the face of boxing, was dethroned by a fighter who had clawed his way through years of doubt, dismissal, and being overlooked. Crawford had been told again and again that he hadn't fought anybody, that he couldn't beat this name or that name. But every time he got his chance, he dominated. On this night, the culmination of years of frustration, he didn't just win. He announced that his time had come. Now the debate rages. Was Canelo always overrated? Was his career carefully constructed to make him look greater than he was? Or was this simply the natural decline of a fighter who had been at the top too long, finally meeting someone who was destined to expose him? Fans argue, analysts debate, and legends weigh in. Some, like Tyson, call it proof of long-standing flaws. Others still give Canelo credit for his accomplishments, even if they now admit his dominance was never as absolute as the hype suggested. What's certain is that the narrative has shifted forever. Canelo Alvarez is no longer the untouchable king. The mystique is gone, the aura shattered. And for Terence Crawford, the moment has elevated him beyond debate. He is now not just a champion but a legend, a man whose name will stand alongside the greats. So the question lingers for fans everywhere. Was Canelo Alvarez truly one of the greats, or was he a product of hype, timing, and marketing, finally unmasked by a fighter who refused to bow to myths? What do you think? Was Canelo always overrated, or did Terence Crawford simply catch him at the right time? Let me know in the comments. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the fights that change boxing forever.